Thanks to everybody for joining. Hopefully over the next hour, we'll be going over how you, as IT practitioners, can really combine identity management and enterprise mobility as first steps in considering and securing your endpoints, your users, and IoT. My name is Sachin Sharma. I'm part of End User Computing Product Marketing. I've been at VMware for about 5 years. I've been in your shoes in prior lives as an IT practitioner and administrator as well. And so this is very near and dear to my heart. So very, very excited to be here. About midway through our presentation, we'll have a customer come up on stage, Josh Clark from Southern Company. He'll be sharing his journey across enterprise mobility and identity at Southern Company. So definitely stay tuned for that. He has a lot of good stuff to share within his journey. So why don't we go ahead and get started here. Just a disclaimer slide. I'm sure you've all seen this. I don't think I have any forward-looking material in here, but I have to display this, so read this whenever you get a chance. Just to give you a little bit of a table of contents of what we'll be covering today. So first of all, we'll start off with mobility trends and challenges that we're seeing from our customer base. We'll go into how Workspace ONE security can help overcome a lot of those challenges. We'll go into our customer case study with Josh. We'll share how we can advance your security capabilities even further with our partners and what we're doing from an integration standpoint. And then I'll share some customer case studies beyond Southern Company. So a couple of really cool case studies. You may have already heard of them in the keynote, as well as how we internally are using Workspace ONE inside of VMware. And then we'll leave a little bit of time at the end for Q&A. Also, I don't have it displayed on here, but I do have a demo that I can hopefully show midway through after Josh is done. So stay tuned. So first of all, before I begin, I wanted to get a quick show of hands. Who in here has an enterprise mobility management solution inside of their environment? Should be most of you. Great. And who in here is using AirWatch? Good. A lot of people. Awesome. What about for identity? Who in here is using like Azure Active Directory, for example? Okay, so a few. That's good. That's good. So all of this is in line with what we're going to be covering and how you can actually converge all of those solutions together so that you have a nice, secure posture, secure hygiene for all of your endpoints, users, and IoT. A lot of the challenges that we're seeing from our customers actually begin with what we call consumerization of IT. Now, this can have a lot of different meanings, but to me, I really break it down into 4 different pillars or 4 different silos. You have what's considered a new modern workforce that's entering the workforce. So you have all these millennials that are coming into the workforce that are demanding great end user experience, right? They're demanding everything that they see on their iPhone or their Android phone as far as watching Netflix, using Slack. All of those apps, they get single touch access to all of those apps and instant gratification. They want the same thing when it comes to your IT apps that you're delivering to them. So as IT administrators, you have to try to meet their expectations and try to satisfy those expectations. We're in an era now where we've moved away from mainframe over to client server, and now we have apps everywhere. We call it the SaaSification of applications. There's the Salesforces of the world. There's Workday out there. There's ServiceNow. All of these different SaaS-based apps that are more and more continuously popping up inside of IT environments. And as IT practitioners, you have to figure out how you're going to manage all of these SaaS-based environments. We have mobile workflows that we're using on a continuous basis. Whenever I walk back from this Mandalay Bay over to my hotel at the Luxor, I'm on my phone. I'm going through email. I'm going through different applications that I need to be productive. We call those mobile moments. And as IT, you need to be able to securely manage those mobile moments so that none of my data or apps accidentally gets leaked to any malicious people out there. And finally, there's a bunch of different emerging delivery models that have occurred over the past few years. Most notably, cloud. Everything is not on-prem anymore. Everything is not controlled by IT. You're going to go through this notion of shadow IT where all of a sudden these apps pop up and you don't even know how to control them. But what we want to do is help you deliver a platform that helps you manage all of these different challenges as far as a modern workforce, having apps everywhere, being able to deliver on all of these different emerging delivery models, and enable mobile workflows and mobile moments for your end users. Now, a couple of interesting statistics that I thought were very fascinating. Everything is being driven off of mobility. That's a key pillar as far as driving the consumerization of IT. And what we mean by this is take a look at the first stat there. In 2015, as far as revenue was concerned, there was a little bit over 300 billion with a B dollars spent across mobile devices from people just shopping online. 2 years later, that's almost doubled to almost $600 million. So a lot of information is being processed across your mobile devices. 2 out of 3 employees, according to a Gartner survey last year, use their own personally owned device. I've asked a lot of customers while I've been at the VMware booth, do you have a BYOD program, or do you just do choose your own device, or is everything corporate owned? And for the most part, I get answers of, we have all of the above. It's not just a BYO program, it's not just to choose your own device, and it's just not corporate owned devices. And as you can see, by 2018, 95% of global enterprises will have all of these different types of emerging delivery models, BYO, choose your own, or corporate issued devices. So a lot of good data kind of backing up that mobility is a huge, huge pillar that's driving the consumerization of IT. And this actually represents a big threat for the security teams out there, because all of a sudden your security surface attack area is huge, it's vast now. You're looking at over 150% exploits that have happened in 2015 in IoT. You're looking at IP theft that's increased by more than 50% in 2015. And a lot of times this isn't even from the outside, this is actually employees internally, whether they're doing it on purpose or just accidentally leaking information. That's actually happening. There's about 1/3 of companies that have said that their employees are cited as a source of compromise in 2015. So threats are everywhere, across every app, across every device, and potentially across every single user. What consumerization is also doing is it's putting up these vertical silos. You have fanatics of iOS, you have fanatics of Mac, you have fanatics of Android, you have even fanatics of Windows. And a lot of times your employees might be using a subset of an iPhone or an Android tablet plus a Windows 10 Surface Book, for example. They could be using a lot of different types of file sync and collaboration tools like Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, etc. So point being over here, the proliferation of devices and apps, it's everywhere, and you as IT have to learn how you can easily secure all of this across your mobile devices with a nice perimeter across identity. What this vertical silos actually represents for a lot of customers that I talk to is you're going to have teams that are all of a sudden managing mobile devices. So that's one team. Then you have another team managing desktops. And then yet you have another team, all of these other lines of businesses that are putting in their own applications. I mean, we internally at VMware had this problem. A year or two ago, all of a sudden we saw this application called Slack pop up. All of our developers loved it. They wanted to use it, but IT said, whoa. I mean, all the information you're actually storing on Slack or talking about on Slack, we can't securely, we can't secure this. We need to be able to secure this. And so that's just an internal use case of something that IT has to be able to secure, yet still deliver for all of our end users, our developers, to continue to be very productive. And because of this, what we want to do is actually try to break down all of these silos. We want you to look at a platform approach that with one single platform, you can, in a unified endpoint management manner, manage all of your devices and apps. So using one platform, you can manage mobile devices regardless if they're iOS, Mac, Android, etc. You can manage all of your Windows devices regardless of what type of identity provider you have. And all of these other apps that are popping up, Salesforce One, Concur, etc. You can manage all of that from one single digital platform. We call this the concept of trying to deliver a digital workspace. So think about digital workspace as far as application delivery and management, and really trying to create this model of unified endpoint management without having silos of one team manages mobile, one team manages desktops, one team manages other lines of businesses, engineering, HR, etc. inside of my environment. So unify all of that across one single platform. And we think that that platform is going to be Workspace ONE. Why? Because we can manage all of these different devices down here, mobile, IoT, desktops, laptops, across all of your different types of applications, iOS, Mac, Windows, all your SaaS-based apps, all of that is covered inside of our Workspace ONE platform. A very marketing type of slide, but I thought it'd be nice to put this out here because if you need to, ever explain this to your, management team, for example, what we want to try to do is try to make things as consumer simple as possible. Myself, as an employee at VMware, I want access to all the apps that I need. I don't care about all the other apps that I don't need, and I want instant access to those apps, regardless if I'm using my iPhone, my Android tablet, my MacBook, or my Windows 10 device. And this is very, very important to me. But at the same time, IT, you don't want to compromise on security to deliver that great digital workspace experience for employees like myself. That's what Workspace ONE can actually deliver for you, is this concept of a digital workspace that just follows you around across every device and across every application. So just to draw this out a little bit, you have your end user services team. So think of this as just IT and security ops. You have all of these different types of applications, whether they're iOS, mobile apps, Android, Chrome-based apps, Windows apps, or SaaS-based apps. And you have all these different devices, mobile, laptops, desktops, and even IoT. What we can do is, using AirWatch technologies, we're actually moving away from enterprise mobility. So instead of just managing your mobile devices, we want to manage all of these different types of devices. And the likes of Gartner, for example, and IDC are starting to call this unified endpoint management. And it fits very well with the AirWatch because the technologies and capabilities of AirWatch, whatever we're doing as far as remote wipe and increased security with higher degree of passcode across your iOS or Android devices, we can now take that same type of management and deliver it across your entire fleet of devices. We can also wrap context policies around this. So you can consider if then do this. So if Sachin's device is jailbroken, he does not have access to the Salesforce ONE application because there's a lot of sensitive data there. So this context is very important. It's something, I think, a key differentiator between what we can do across our digital workspace platform. So that's what we talk about, enterprise mobility, moving over to unified endpoint management. Now, on top of that, if you put together all of these identity services where you have a single app catalog that you can access from your mobile phone, your tablet, your laptop, you name the device and you can probably access it from. Everything is single sign-on, so you don't have to remember all of these crazy passwords for all of your different types of applications. You have a variety of authentication ways, multi-factor authentication, for example, biometrics, and you have access policies in place. You glue these together, and that's why the digital workspace can be, yours to be had, to be delivered to your end users with Workspace ONE. And that's why we think it should be your first step in considering security for all of your end users, devices, and IoT. So sitting on top of that, so gluing all this together, this is actually what Workspace ONE is. But there's even more. We can virtualize Windows applications in a number of different ways. Many of you may have heard of the term VDI, or published applications. We can actually give you published applications and deliver virtual desktops across our Horizon platform, which is built into the Workspace ONE platform. So if you have a need, for example, to display or give your end users legacy applications, that's made possible with the Horizon platform because we can deliver Windows apps, legacy Windows apps, and even new Windows apps, and have them centrally executed inside the data center, but displayed on any device, whether it's a thin client, zero client, your mobile phone, etc. And finally, we're getting into this concept of more connected things. So rugged devices, for example. If you're in manufacturing, you have barcode scanners. If you're in retail, you need to be able to manage those devices moving into the future. And you're going to set yourself up well if you use Workspace ONE, because this is very, very near and dear to the Workspace ONE platform. We want to be able to manage all of these connected devices from an IoT and rugged device standpoint. So that's the Workspace ONE platform. But what's great about it is also you have a very open ecosystem on the right-hand side over here. So we have something called the app config community, upon which we've integrated a lot of different services with different EMM vendors. You can use this app config community to put code into your applications to wrap all of these DLP or EMM policies around your applications that you built. We have authentication and identity providers that we tightly integrate and partner with. So we're not saying just use our own identity services. You can actually use anything. We're completely open. And finally, we have our Mobile Security Alliance, which is another set of partners where if you wanted advanced security capabilities even on top of Workspace ONE, like mobile threat defense or CASBs, Cloud Security Access Brokers, we have a lot of partners that we can partner with to give you that integration points. So just a couple of features that I want to dive into before I hand it over to Josh. I want to talk about conditional access, and this is really important inside of where we're headed as far as Workspace ONE. This feature is definitely available inside of Workspace ONE, and the beauty of this is that you can combine identity and enterprise mobility for conditional access. What we mean by this is that if-then statement that I made earlier, you can apply that for conditional access. So for example, if Sachin is accessing a jailbroken device, or he's in a location that is deemed unsecure, maybe at a coffee shop where his Wi-Fi is unsecure, then that means I don't get access to specific applications, or I cannot authenticate myself into an application. So you can put all of these conditional statements in so that it makes it very, very dynamic as far as policies is concerned across Workspace ONE. So very simple, that's a very simple example, and you can definitely make it a lot more advanced. So this is a great feature as part of Workspace ONE in securing and bringing together identity management and enterprise mobility. Another great feature is what we call device trust. And think of this as like step-up authentication. So for example, if I don't have my device enrolled or trusted with Workspace ONE or AirWatch, what I can do is if I'm trying to access one of my applications like Salesforce ONE, and that's a very sensitive type of application, before I have access to it, I actually get a pop-up that says, do you want to enable Workspace services? Meaning, can we trust your device? And if so, then I get access to that application. So it's all about trust with the device, trust with the user, and that's where that identity layer and enterprise mobility really get glued together. Some of the main benefits that you'll receive with these features are going to be everything from onboarding your end users a lot quicker, having one single console to push down all of your policies from instead of having an EMM console and yet another SCCM console and yet another console for using another product. You can integrate all of this into just one single console. That's the entire concept of unified endpoint management. You can lower your self-service costs. Your help desk costs can be extremely lowered. I have a great use case study at the end that I'll share around that. And all of your business transactions, these mobile moments that I was talking about, they can be completed in a matter of a minute. So you're really enhancing the level of productivity for your end users, but still keeping everything as secure as possible. And so with that, I'd like to bring Josh up to the stage. He's going to talk a little bit about his company, Southern Company, and what they've done as far as identity, enterprise mobility, and I'll let Josh go ahead and take it away, and I'll be back after this to show a demo.
Turn on my mic, sorry about that. Great, thank you all for being here, and thank you for listening to this. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. First, my name's Josh. I've been at Southern Company for almost 10 years. Initially working in our field support groups before moving into our end-user computing group to help out with the rollout of VDI and to support all these new devices called smartphones that were entering the workforce in droves and supplanting BlackBerry devices. I served as a technical lead implementing AirWatch. And I've been obsessed with technology my entire life, from dismantling electronics when I was a kid, to building PCs as a teenager, and now to making sure that my home media server is running as a VM on a highly available cluster at home. So, a little bit of a nerd. I like to tell my 7-year-old boys that what I do for work, and that is I like to solve problems. When I first started my career, I was solving individual problems, and thankfully I'm fortunate now to be able to work on solving problems that affect thousands of our employees. Southern Company is America's premier energy company with 46,000 megawatts of generating capacity and 1.5 trillion cubic feet of combined natural gas consumption and throughput, serving 9 million customers through our subsidiaries. Our operations include nearly 200,000 miles of electric transmission lines and distribution lines, and more than 80,000 miles of gas pipeline. The company provides clean, safe, reliable, and affordable energy through its electric operating companies in 4 states, natural gas distribution companies in 7 states, and a competitive generation company serving wholesale customers across America, and a nationally recognized provider of energy solutions, as well as fiber optics and wireless communications. We're into a lot of stuff. The energy sector, like many sectors, is facing disruption by new technologies. Distributed power generation, electric battery storage, electric cars, big data, fuel cells, and many other technologies present challenges to our traditional business model. As a company, we are embracing these changes and innovating within the company. Our CEO, Tom Fanning, has framed our corporate focus on innovation by saying, "It is through cutting-edge innovation, solutions that improve our lives every day, that we can create better, more efficient ways to deliver power and help solve some of the challenges our customers face." Within our IT organization, we not only innovate ourselves, but also look to our technology partners, leveraging their innovative products to provide the highest value possible and maximize our employees' use of technology. Our organization has around 1,200 employees and continues to be ranked among Computer World's 100 best places to work in IT. Now let me talk about some of the disruptive technology near and dear to my heart as well, mobility, and how that's changed forever how we approach mobile computing. Thanks. Well, I won't take you all the way back to the days of the RIM 950 or the first time we got email working using ActiveSync, although if you'd like to hear about that, we can talk afterwards and I'll introduce you to my colleague who made all that happen. We affectionately call him Mr. Mobile. I will take you back, however, to 2010, not only because it was the year that the iPad was released, but also more practically because that's as far back as our metrics around mobility goes. Back then, we had a de facto BYO policy. If it supported Exchange ActiveSync and the client honored our device policies, you were able to use it, provided that you could walk through the steps to manually configure the server and the mail client, and remembered to update your password on the mail client every time your password changed. Because if you didn't, your account would get locked out pretty quickly. We had absolutely no clue on what was personal and what was corporate owned. There was absolutely no data on that. And support was very difficult to scale because each device was configured individually by that end user. So we had to do something to get our arms around the rapidly growing mobile fleet. So back in 2012, we evaluated several MDM providers, and we selected AirWatch. We had some pretty stringent security requirements, and our desires to have enough user benefits to encourage adoption on personal devices. So it took us some time to get things ready for an enterprise push. By the time we really rolled it out, our mobile fleet was up to about 20,000 devices. In the weeks leading up to our requirement of management to sync company data, we were enrolling over 1,000 devices per week. It's a pretty quick pace to things. But after all the dust settled, we figured out that our ownership split was about 50-50 at the time, personal and corporate owned. So AirWatch allowed us to deliver on our promise to present a consistent user experience across platforms, automatically configuring email and other services on enrollment. We were able to deliver certificate-based authentication for email, which helped us to increase security, made it easier for our end users as well, and eliminated one of our leading cause of account lockouts and all the support costs around that. Since then, we've continued to innovate and deliver some amazing experiences to solve some major business problems. We have over 20 different organization groups providing multi-user iPads or line of business devices that leverage Apple's device enrollment and volume purchase programs to make it simple and consistent to set up a device straight out of a box. We can just ship it to the user, they boot it up and walk through a couple steps and they're enrolled. We have business units developing native and mobile responsive web apps and delivering them through our app catalog. We aren't stopping there though. When we selected AirWatch 5 years ago, we did so knowing that it was delivering an innovative and flexible solution and was iterating rapidly to go way beyond just device management. And we were looking to provide that platform to enable the productivity, to solve business problems and make it simple for our users to get their work done wherever they were. We have a bold vision of the future of mobility, and we've made some great strides in getting there. We are currently working on many projects to simplify the user's experience getting connected to our apps and data without the technology getting in the way. We're close to delivering some new wireless networks that will enable our managed devices to automatically join and authenticate to Wi-Fi, removing yet another large cause of account lockouts we've got. We're also beginning work on providing per-app VPN capabilities so that we can give our users secure access to apps without allowing the untrusted apps to enter into our network. It's also allowing a nice additional security benefit of allowing our app owners to only publish the services internally so that they can still provide access to our mobile users, but they are only internal so they can reduce the size of our external footprint. I jokingly refer to 2017 as the year of proof of concepts, as we're also working on trying out NSX, Workspace ONE, Identity Manager, Windows 10, HoloLens management, and after the partnership announcement with Google, I guess we got to add Chrome OS management to that list. So, a lot of work. Another initiative that we rolled out to the enterprise shortly after we had completed AirWatch was Office 365. Again, we had some pretty stringent security requirements and desires to make it easy for the end user. So we wanted to provide a single sign-on for managed devices and conditional access, but there wasn't really a good option at the time that we rolled it out. So we ended up implementing it with ADFS and two-factor authentication, and the experience has been less than ideal for our users. Since then, Identity Manager and Workspace ONE has come out, and we're actively investigating it to see that if it can deliver our original vision. Early testing is showing that conditional access is working very well, and the flexibility in configuring the product to meet our specific needs is pretty compelling. However, implementing a new identity solution and switching can be a difficult process. It's a little easier when it's greenfield, but switching when you're already using something is a lot harder. Migration path's not always smooth and requires some sort of interruption of services and requires a very tightly coordinated education plan with our users to minimize confusion and the support costs involved in switching. Fact is, it takes a lot of planning and work to deliver something that's simple and intuitive for somebody to use. Having done this sort of thing several times, I can say though that it's definitely worth all of the work in the end. And once the technology is out of the user's way, it frees them to transform their own processes and start innovating in their own areas. It's extremely gratifying to be able to deliver on our CEO's call of providing solutions that improve our lives every day. So, thank you for your time, and back to you, Sachin.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Josh. Great story. Okay, so next, what I wanted to jump into was actually just a quick demo of how I internally at VMware use Workspace ONE on an everyday basis. All right, this is my phone. This is a live demo, so hopefully nothing goes wrong here. But what you can see is all of the different apps that I use, regardless if it's for work or for personal reasons. You know, I have WhatsApp for personal, for example, or Waze for personal, but then I also have my Boxer application that I use for email, for example, down there at the bottom right. What I do on an everyday basis is I can come into here, or through my MacBook or my Windows 10 device or tablet, I can log into my Workspace ONE portal. In the form of an iOS device right now, it's a Workspace ONE app. So as soon as I click it, it's actually going to ask me for biometrics, Touch ID for Workspace. So you can instantly see that it has to be Sachin Sharma who logs into this device. If I left it at the booth and it's wide open, nobody else could access this. So as soon as I touch it for ID, it's going to authenticate myself And voila, I have access to all of my different applications. This is where your SaaS-based apps live. This is where, look, if I wanted to book travel back over to San Francisco, for example, I can click on Concur, and it'll single sign me on all the way through, so I don't have to remember that password anymore. If I wanted to access, let's say, one of these applications like Office 365, now it's going to open up my Safari web browser, and you can see it's doing a bunch of stuff in the background, but voila, I'm logged in directly so I can see my mail, my calendar, my OneDrive, etc., again, without remembering another password. So a very secure way for me to access all of this. Now, other options that I have inside of Workspace ONE also include desktops. So if I wanted to view published applications or Windows virtual desktops through our Horizon platform, I have that option over here. You can see that SJC-HZ Standard 2 desktop. I can access that directly from my mobile device if I need to. So again, that virtual desktop's running out somewhere on-prem. Don't care where it is as an end user, but if I need to be productive, boom, I can access that. Now, the other options that I have, for the longest time as a VMware employee, I was thinking, okay, do I really want to enroll my device, into AirWatch? Or do I want to have my device as a trusted device inside of Workspace ONE? And eventually I got around to doing it because our IT staff was developing so many great apps that required enrollment. For example, we have this people search app that, let's say I'm late to a meeting and I need to contact somebody. I'm just going to type a generic name in here like Mike. And let's say it was Mike Lewis. As soon as I click on him, boom, I get all of his information available to me so I can give him a call, shoot him a text, Skype for business, chat with him, etc. And I know exactly where his location is and whatnot. Being on campus, we have a huge campus down in Palo Alto, and sometimes it's tough to navigate. It's not really organized well as far as signs everywhere. So instead, if I need to go from, let's say, Creekside E to Creekside A, I don't know the exact path, I can actually type that into here. I can type, let's go to Orion inside of Palo Alto, California. It'll actually guide me towards there. So little apps like this actually make a huge, huge difference as an end user to me because I'm now being more productive. It doesn't take me 15 minutes to go out there and try to figure out, okay, where is this room? Or who is this person that I'm trying to access? So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a sense of the level of end user productivity that's raised in a very secure way. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about our advanced security capabilities. Workspace ONE as a platform is great because it gives you the foundation of a lot of these security capabilities. But what we've done is, with our open partner ecosystem, enabled even a higher degree of security. So for example, we have our Mobile Security Alliance, MSA, and we have all these great partners. Whether you're looking at CASBs for cloud, for example, with any of those partners down there like SkyHigh or Netscope. Whether you're looking at application-specific, mobile threat detection or defense types of partners, you can actually integrate that with Workspace ONE, and we have integrations with all of these as part of our Workspace ONE Mobile Security Alliance. So if you do have any of these vendors inside of your environment or looking at them, know that we can integrate with Workspace ONE across the board, across all of these different MSA partners. And to give you a sense of a couple of examples, these are just logos, great companies, but to give you a couple of examples on this, let's start out with a mobile threat defense example. For example, SkyCure or Lookout. What we can do, think about this, you're at an airport or you're at a coffee shop, and all of a sudden one of your employees accesses a Wi-Fi network. It's probably unsecure, and somehow SkyCure, you put policies into SkyCure or Lookout such that you've detected that this is a malicious Wi-Fi network. It's one that's not trusted. You don't want sensitive data to be going across this Wi-Fi network. What we can do is, as soon as SkyCure or Lookout or any of our MTD partners are able to detect this, they can send that information over to Workspace ONE. And then we can put a conditional access policy in place to say, you know what, you don't get access to Office 365 because you're on an unsecure network. And that's very powerful, right? Because you can put all of these different conditional access policies in place, not just for mobile threat defense, but across any sort of security policy framework with any of our MSA vendors. So just a very easy, hopefully easy example to grasp. Another example with identity governance, for example, we partner very well with SailPoint, who, a great quick example would be just provisioning. Let's say all of a sudden, your title changes, or you get a promotion, or maybe even a demotion, and all of a sudden inside of Workday, there's a change notification that gets pushed down that says you either have access to new apps or you don't have access to new apps. Because of that, we can integrate that directly into Workspace ONE, so then you don't get access through your portal into all of these different apps. So if there's an example of what we can't do internally with the Workspace ONE, we can definitely partner with all of our other vendors to try to give you a very advanced, secure framework to deliver your applications to any device. So just a couple of quick examples. We have a ton of other examples that we can go through. Just in the interest of time, I wanted to at least share those easy examples. A couple of case studies before we wrap things up. I think American Red Cross was actually mentioned in the keynote on day one, but I wanted to reiterate this because they're actually an end user computing customer of ours, and a very good one, because they're using 150 apps across what they've branded as Red Cross Virtual Workplace. They have 10,000 users, relief workers, back-end office workers that are using Workplace, what they've branded as Workplace. It's just really Workspace ONE, to access all of their legacy applications through Horizon Virtual Desktops or published apps, or all of their SaaS-based apps across Workspace ONE again. This is great because they've reduced their new hire time so that their new hires can be onboarded very quickly. They went from onboarding people in a matter of weeks down to days, down to hours, so that they're up and running and productive in a matter of minutes. Another great customer example, I know this is a little bit more, it's VMware using VMware, but as an employee, it's very dear to me because I'm able to be as productive as possible. We have a great case study. It's called VMware's Move to a Digital Workspace. It's about an 8-page read, a very quick and easy read. But it shows that VMware is using our own internal solution. We're eating our own dog food, right? We have 24,000 desktops and laptops that are ported across our 22,000 different employees. And I, as an end user, again, I was a little skeptical about, do I really want to enroll myself, or do I just want mobile application management on my device? I eventually ended up enrolling myself, and we have actually about 14,000 of our employees that are enrolled. It's not mandated. However, if you want access to some of these sensitive applications like People Search or vNavigator, then that's when you want to turn on the Workspace ONE services so that your device can be trusted. We have 5,000 virtual desktops. Not every employee has a virtual desktop because you might not need a virtual desktop. It's specifically for use cases like contractors, for example, or other industries like healthcare or financial services where it really shines. So a lot of our contractors, when they develop code, they actually do it within our Horizon Virtual Desktop platform. We have 400 apps. Most of them are SaaS-based apps. A couple of them are mobile, and a few of them are client-server based. And this was actually a study back in October of 2016, so almost a year ago. I just caught up with the person that actually did this study, and he's giving another talk. And he was telling me actually our applications, that number went from 400 to 600 this year. So in a matter of 10 months, we've gone from 400 to 600 apps. And that's the power of, because you're enabling all of these productivity apps to be given out to your end users regardless of what role they're in, and they're delivered through Workspace ONE. The cost to deploy all of this was about $4 million. If you think about the full-time employees that have to deploy Workspace ONE and keep it updated and manage all of the back-end infrastructure. But the annual cost savings that we've realized is close to $6 million. And a lot of that, believe it or not, is based off of one simple question that used to always be posed to our IT staff, which was, I forgot my password. So just that single sign-on capability with our identity services, putting that on mobile, on our laptops, on our tablets, that eliminated 75% of our help desk calls, which I thought was just mind-blowing for me. And that's a lot of what that $6 million number is. And in productivity gains, about a little bit over 3,000 workdays per year that we're gaining in productivity from people not having to go to our IT staff and ask them, hey, I forgot my password, or I can't access this app. All this is being automated and done in the background for them so that they have a very delightful, consumer simple user experience. So just in closing, you as IT, you have the power to move your environment and your business into this new platform of digital workspace. You want to be able to transform the way that you're managing and delivering applications. You want this unified endpoint management solution across the board so you can break down those silos of mobile, desktop, and line of business. And you want to do this in a very secure manner. And we can help offer that for you by using a digital workspace solution like Workspace ONE. And again, we have a lot of different partners that we can partner with to even take that to the next level as far as your security posture is concerned. You can contain your shadow IT costs, secure your environment, and deliver a great user experience using this integrated platform called Workspace ONE. If you want to learn more, if you haven't visited the Hands-On Labs, I highly encourage you to visit the Hands-On Labs. It's not just about Workspace ONE there, but you can visit it and take labs on NSX, on vSAN, on Horizon, you name the product, and most likely we'll have it in our labs. If you're not able to go to it this week, you can sign up for free on labs.hol.vmware.com. I think you get like a 4-hour, 6-hour window upon which you can take these labs, and then it just keeps refreshing. So no worries on time limits there. You have our product page. You can find us on social. We have a lot of great videos that kind of explain this at a high level as far as the digital workspace is concerned, as well as a lot more deeper technical deep dives into Workspace ONE and how you can integrate it with our different partners or our Horizon platform. And so with that, I wanted to thank everybody for joining us. Hopefully this is a little bit more enlightening as far as combining your identity service and enterprise mobility to really secure your end users, devices, and IoT. I myself, as well as Josh, will be here hanging out for the next 15-20 minutes, so definitely happy to answer any Q&A. Actually, I think we have a mic up here if anybody has any questions. Thank you.